Live from the Carl Chevrolet Studios in West Des Moines, this is Iowa Live.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. Our friends from Kinetic Edge Physical Therapy are here. Elise Spronk, occupational therapist, joining us right now.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming over.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Now, let's start with the basics here about Kinetic Edge Physical Therapy. You have a bunch of locations around the area. Let's first tell everybody where they're located.
Yep, so we have 8 locations.
Wow.
Yeah, so you're testing me here. So it's Albia and Ames, Centerville, Colfax, Newton, Pella, Oskaloosa, and Des Moines.
There it is. Okay, gotta make sure we remember Des Moines.
Yeah, for sure.
At the outlying areas. But we want to talk about occupational therapy and something you might not realize when it comes to occupational therapy. First of all, what is occupational therapy?
Yeah, so occupational therapy focuses on using activity to help rehabilitate in whatever area of life might be your occupation. So for an adult, that's going to be, a job or cooking.
And that's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of occupational therapy, work-related therapy.
Yes, yep. So, but with our kids that we work with, their occupation is going to school.
How about that?
Playing and, socializing with friends and being able to get themselves dressed and brush their teeth and eating and
so occupational therapy is not just for adults.
Right. It is not.
I never knew that.
Yeah,
And we have video here to show you some of the things that you're doing. And these are some of the basic things that are really important to a kid.
Yes, absolutely. So, just working on a lot of different, we call them sensory motor development skills. So fine motor coordination, gross motor coordination, using the two sides of the body together, visual skills, in order to help them progress and do their best in learning and behaving.
Wow. Now, what location are you at?
I'm in Pella, mostly.
Now, we've mentioned that the kids are also part of occupational therapy.
Yeah.
What percentage of kids do you have at your place?
Sure. So we see probably 60 to 70% of our caseload is children, and then 30 to 40% is adults.
Okay. Now, what do people need to do to come and and have your type of therapy?
Sure.
Do they need a doctor's prescription, or what do they need?
Right. So in most cases, they do not. There are a few different insurances that do, but we're always happy to help guide people that if they, to help them know whether or not they need a referral. But most of the time, they can just call us and set up an appointment. We do evaluations or we do free screens for people if they're just wondering whether or not this is going to be something that would help them or their child.
Okay. What is a typical session? How long is a typical session?
Sure. So our typical sessions are 40 minutes in length.
Okay.
It's based on what we've discovered in the evaluation process. So we do a thorough evaluation to determine what are the areas where the child is struggling. So we do a bottom-up approach in our treatment. So if we were going to look at a child's function like a pyramid, academic learning would be at the top, behavior and their ADL skills, so activities of daily living. In the middle of that pyramid are these sensory motor skills that I mentioned, so coordination, visual skills. At the very basis of that pyramid is our sensory processing. So how do we take in all of the sensory experiences happening around us and behave on those, and reflex integration. So, we look at the foundation first. So if this is like a Jenga game, are there bricks at the bottom that are contributing to difficulties up at the top?
So you can start building and replacing those bricks, so to speak.
Yep, we have a lot of kids who come to us with behavioral issues. And, sometimes I think parents are probably like, well, why are you looking at all of these motor skills? I came to you because they have, a behavioral issue. Well, sometimes a child is moving all over the place and, appears to be not listening and that type of thing, not because they are just trying to be disruptive, but because they don't have the core strength to be able to sit still. They don't have, those foundational skills.
Now, we have something coming up next week. Want to let you know about Developmental Screen Week.
Yep.
Starts next Monday. Tell everybody about that.
Yep. So next week we're kind of really, promoting our free screens. So those are a 20-minute appointment where you bring your child and the parent and the child interact with the therapist. We maybe assess a few different things and then also just listen and find out, is this something that could be valuable and helpful?
You also see a pediatric migraine speaker series on February 2nd and February 9th. Take advantage of that as well. Scan that QR code that is on your screen and take advantage of that. It'll pop up all the information. Or there's a website too, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
KineticEdgePT.com.
All right. So again, if you have any questions, that's where you need to go. Thank you so much for coming over here and teaching us about this. We all learned something here today.
Great.
So we're all better for that. That's awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you for spending a little bit of time with us today. Have yourself a great rest of your day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow on Iowa Live.